for having me here today. I'm excited to be here to share some healthy holiday food with you. As Sarah said, my name is Karen Kuzma. I work full-time at the O Street Hy-Vee, just down O Street here. I've been there for 7 years, ever since the store opened, and I do nutrition consultations and classes and employee wellness and media work and a wide variety of things that just help people eat healthier. Good nutrition really does start at the grocery store, because if you're not getting good foods in your grocery cart, you're not going to prepare them at home and they're not going to get in your body, and you'll probably end up at a drive-through window. So I really enjoy my work there, and I hope that I can share a little bit of that enjoyment with you today with our holiday foods. I did pass out one flyer for a class that I have coming up. So if you are interested in something that will be helpful for holiday foods for Thanksgiving, the information is there. It's kind of a make-ahead Thanksgiving meal workshop. You can check that out going on next Monday. But I want to show you some foods you can make yourself at home very easily in your own kitchen, and that will be equally nutritious for your holiday meal. The first one we're going to start off with is balsamic kale with cranberries. Kale is a very popular, trendy health food as of the last few years. How many of you have eaten kale? Most of you, yeah. How many of you liked it when you ate it? Yeah, 50-50. There's a lot of different ways to prepare kale, anywhere from kale smoothies to kale chips to putting it in stews or casseroles. Certainly it is a rather bitter green. It's very tough leaves, and the stems tend to be very chewy. So if you buy the mature kale, you want to remove the stems. You don't want to buy those or eat those stems, because they'll just end up chewing on them forever. But if you buy the baby kale, you can eat all of the kale because it's young and tender enough. Certainly adding a little bit of sweetness oftentimes helps take away the bitterness, whether it be a little honey or balsamic vinegar or cranberries are some of the most common ones that we see. Sometimes you see kale recipes that have a little fruit added, apple cider or pear, can take away a little bit of that bitterness. But finding other good flavors to go with it is key to preparing kale. Kale is incredibly nutrient dense, and I think that's why it's gotten so popular, is because we've realized how many little phytochemicals and nutrients are found in that dark leafy green vegetable. So that's why we're going to try preparing it today in a way that hopefully you will enjoy. This is what kale looks like. These are just torn up kale leaves. You can see they're very tough. Oftentimes we use these to garnish things on like salad bars, because these little leaves will hold up forever as long as they stay relatively moist and they don't dry out. They stay really nice as garnishes on salad bars. That's why we need to cook them down to get them tender if we want to eat them. We're going to start off in this recipe with a little bit of olive oil. I've got a tablespoon of olive oil here. When I'm sauteing or cooking over medium to high heat, I like to use light olive oil or just regular olive oil, but not the extra virgin. Extra virgin is great when you're making a salad or something where there's virtually no heat required at all, because then those powerful antioxidants in the olive oil can all stay intact, and they're not going to burn and smoke and break down the way they would if you heated them. With heating oils, certainly those antioxidants do tend to break down and smoke, so that's why using the light or more refined olive oils is a great way to prevent that from happening. They'll just taste better that way if you don't have that oxidation going on. So we've got a tablespoon of olive oil. And pretend that's heating up nicely. You don't want to put it over high heat. Certainly there is such a thing as too much heat. Don't leave your pan over high heat for 10 minutes before you put things in. Otherwise you're just going to burn it, and it'll get black once the minute you put your food in. But medium heat is usually pretty good for a few minutes, depending on how fast your stovetop heats up. Then we're going to add the onion that has been so fragrant here. Apologize for that. Sometimes when you chop an onion and then wrap it up put it in a little container, it contains all the aroma, and then you can open it up and it's strong. But it does certainly add great flavor with not a lot of calories. So onion and garlic are two of my favorite ways to flavor foods. We're going to imagine that sizzling a little bit. If it's not sizzling when you put it in the pan, it's probably not hot enough. You should have let it heat up a little bit longer, because that sizzling creates caramelization of the natural sugars in the onion, and that's what gives it incredibly good sweet flavor. So this is sizzling and caramelizing. We're gonna give that about 3 to 5 minutes. If your onion isn't caramelized in 3 to 5 minutes, just leave it a little bit longer. You know, give it a stir so it doesn't burn. But you should have enough oil in there that it's not gonna be too high risk of burning, and you'll get nice caramelization going in a few minutes. Then we'll add 8 cups of shredded kale leaves. You might think that sounds like a lot. Well, if you buy a big bag of kale, it probably has about 6 to 8 cups in it. We're not talking about 8 cups of firmly packed kale leaves. We're talking about 8 cups of leafy. So it really is not that much. And if you want to have any amount of kale left after it cooks down, you need to start with a big volume of the leafy ones. This is not 8 cups, obviously. I did not feel great. You need to bring a full 8 cups to demonstrate with, but we've got about 2 cups here that I'm going to demonstrate with. Now when you are adding 8 cups, you'll probably add 2 cups at a time. Let it cook down a little bit. Use your tongs. Stir it around in here. This will wilt in about a minute. Not completely, but it'll wilt down enough you can put in another 2 cups. Stir it around. Add another 2 cups. If you add it all at once, it's just going to be too hard to get it all in the pot unless you've got a really big skillet. So we've got that going in there. Let's see, what do we have next? The kale starts to soften. We want to make sure we do have all the stems out, as I said earlier. It'll take about 3 to 6 minutes. At that point, we're going to drizzle with balsamic vinegar. Add our cranberries in there for sweetness. Let that all come together very nicely. Again, these 2 ingredients are key in adding that last little bit of sweetness at the end of cooking. If you added them earlier in the cooking, they might kind of burn and not taste very good, but adding them at the end just gives that little punch of sweetness right at the end and prevents any sort of burning while your kale and your onion are cooking. I do like to use the highest quality vinegar that you can find. A nice aged vinegar, balsamic vinegar is really good because it's just thicker and sweeter and more flavorful. So don't skimp and get the cheap brand for this recipe. You'll be happier with a good high quality balsamic vinegar. You could also use an infused vinegar like a raspberry or a cranberry flavored balsamic vinegar too. If you have that in your cabinet, those fruity flavors will pair nicely with this recipe. Any questions about it? Keep going. All right, you'll get to taste it all here in a minute. We have plenty. Right along, clearing out a little space. My next recipe is ancient grain and pecan stuffing. This is a very different twist on a stuffing. Most of us think of stuffing and we think of stovetop. That is what I grew up with, and that is what my mom still makes for Thanksgiving, although she would be mortified if she knew I told you that. Because she's tried other recipes, and it's just it is what Thanksgiving tastes like to my family. However, it's not terribly nutritious. It is pretty high in salts. It is, not 100% whole grain. There's a fair amount of fat in it. We could certainly make it better if we went maybe an entirely different direction. It's not even try to compete with the stovetop flavor. That is all its own. And that is what I was looking for with our ancient grain and pecan stuffing. Our first ingredient today is 1 8-ounce package of Hy-Vee Select Sunrise Blend with quinoa flakes. It is a Kamet wheat, which is basically an ancient form of wheat. There's a lot of different forms of wheat that can be grown. And it has quinoa flakes added to it along with a little flaxseed, some milled flaxseed, so you get some extra nutritional punch from that. It comes in just a little bag in the rice department, and I was going to bring the little bag, but I forgot one thing I missed today. So I'll bring one tomorrow if you come back tomorrow and want to see what the little package looks like. But it comes all in one package. It has cooking directions. You just cook it with either water or chicken stock. In this instance, we're using chicken broth because that gives it more chicken flavor. You can use turkey stock as well if you have turkey stock on hand for Thanksgiving. And you just let it simmer and absorb the water for about 10 minutes. The next thing we're going to do is warm olive oil in a saute pan. Again, just like we did earlier, you want to warm it over medium heat, so when you add your onion and your celery and your other vegetables here, you'll get a little bit of a sizzle. I do have in this pan onion, carrot, celery, and fennel. Those are your vegetables that form the flavor base for your stuffing. Fennel, has anyone seen fennel before? It's kind of a big white bulb with green fronds coming off of it. Has a little bit of a licorice-like flavor. It's not used real commonly in the US, quite honestly, but it does work very nicely in stuffings. That's the number one time of year I tend to see it, is Thanksgiving stuffings. Sometimes soups as well. Potato soups will have some fennel in them. But we carry it at Hy-Vee year-round, so you can always feel free to stop in and pick it up. Most of the time, people just use the big white root part of it and not the green leafy stuff. Although I have seen recipes that occasionally will call for the top parts. Very easy to just slice it up, and we've got it sauteed here with our onion, carrots, and celery. Let's see, we're going to add some garlic and sage to that as well. You can use the garlic in a jar if you want to save some time. That's very, very easy. Certainly, if you have fresh sage, I recommend it. If you don't, a little bottle of ground sage is just fine. And it just doesn't give you quite the same flavor as using fresh sage. I like fresh herbs a lot just because of the nutrient benefits as well as the lack of calories, fat, and sodium whenever I have them and can't use them. I still have a few actually outside right now. I don't know if they're going to make it until Thanksgiving or not. It's been nice enough that they haven't frozen yet, but we'll see if they make it for my Thanksgiving stuffing. Then the last part of the recipe is easily just to take our prepared ancient grain blend. This is cooked up, and then we just let it stand and absorb the liquid. We'll add this to our sauteed vegetables. Give that a good stir. Get some nice color in there with the carrot and celery. And a different grain in there. For garnishes, we're adding pecans. Some nice chopped pecans. Adding them into the hot pan gives them a little bit of a toastiness that brings out some of the flavor versus just eating pecans cold. Anytime you toast a nut and can kind of heighten that flavor, it's going to just taste even better. So we've got the pecans in there. You wouldn't want to add those earlier because otherwise they'll just absorb the moisture and get kind of soggy. So adding them at the end preserves that little bit of crunch. Pecans are also a very, very high antioxidant nut. You may not realize. So adding pecans gives you that extra little bit of antioxidant nutrition that helps your cells stay healthy and fight off disease. And I also have some chopped fresh parsley. This just gives a beautiful green color at the end. That's really the main purpose. Parsley does have some good nutrient benefits, relatively mild flavor, unless you use too much, and then it'll be too strong. But just add as much as you like there. I have down about half cup or two, just to your liking in terms of how it should look. And there we go. It's a nice ancient grain and pecan stuffing. You could put that in your bird if you wanted to. I would just recommend cooking your bird basically until it's done, adding the hot stuffing into the hot bird, maybe throwing it back in the oven for just a few minutes and letting it all warm together, and then you could serve it once it had all basically been cooked, and then you could just warm it together to kind of let the flavors marry, rather than stuffing this in a raw bird, which just kind of is a food safety sort of a calamity waiting to happen. So making it ahead of time and putting it in a hot bird will prevent that. Are there any questions? Has anyone ever done stuffing before that wasn't made from bread? Okay, well, I hope you enjoy it. We've got plenty here today to sample, so you'll get that in a minute. Dessert? Ready for dessert? Well, we gotta do pumpkin, don't we? It's Thanksgiving. I'm certain some people don't like pumpkin or would rather do pecan pie or something like that, and that's fine. Pumpkin is a nutritional powerhouse full of beta-carotene and fiber. Beta-carotene is a precursor to vitamin A in the body, which is a powerful antioxidant nutrient. It is very, very tasty as well and very low in fat and calories. So I like to use pumpkin whenever I can. Sometimes even when I'm making my brownies or cakes, I'll use pumpkin instead of the oil and eggs it calls for, just to reduce the calories. You can use pumpkin in all kinds of applications, from pancakes to quick breads to even stirring canned pumpkin into your oatmeal in the morning to get a little extra nutritional benefit, maybe along with a pinch of cinnamon and a drizzle of honey for some extra good flavor there. But it is inexpensive and a tasty base for our dessert. We're going to, in the bowl, beat our cream cheese and our pumpkin together. You do want to soften your cream cheese. I would not use fat-free. Fat-free, it tends to be a little bit too liquidy and it doesn't hold up very well. If you've ever tried to make a cheesecake with fat-free cream cheese, you kind of know what I mean. It just doesn't want to set up very well. It's very, very runny. When I was, oh goodness, maybe 18, 19, my first experiments with healthy baking, I tried to make a New York style cheesecake using all fat-free cream cheese. And I had that thing in the oven for probably 2.5 hours and it never set. It was still just souped in the middle after 2.5 hours cooking in my oven. So I pulled it out and I ate the parts that solidified on the edges, and then I threw the rest away and said, I'm not doing that again. Usually reduced fat cream cheese works pretty well, and in almost any application you use full fat cream cheese and you can use the reduced fat and still get the same quality product with about half the calories. So that's what I'm using today. We use the paddle attachment for the mixer. You could also blend by hand if your cream cheese is nice and soft like mine is today. You just want to make sure you're getting a nice even mixture. Smells good already. Then we're going to add a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. I am not a fan of imitation vanilla extract, and if you look at the ingredient list on imitation vanilla extract, you will understand why. Because none of it sounds like food. Pure vanilla extract is not much more expensive, and it gives you definitely a lot better flavor. And dark brown sugar is here. Brown sugar just has a little bit of added richness to it, a little more warm undertone than what you get with white cane sugar. They're both sugar, they both have the same amount of calories, but that brown sugar I think goes a little bit further and you don't need to use quite as much because of that extra complexity of flavor. And again, this is very easy to do by hand. You want to do it super quick and make it really perfectly smooth. The paddle attachment on your mixer will do the job nicely. You don't want to use the wire whisk because that's going to incorporate a lot of air. You're not trying to incorporate air here, you just want to blend everything together nicely. Now we're going to assemble Pumpkin Cheesecake Shooters. These I got at the dollar store. These are great if you don't want to have to do dishes, or if you say you don't have enough shot glasses to assemble one for everybody in your family, maybe you've got a bigger crowd. They are kind of small, but that helps to keep dessert very portion controlled, and hey, you can have two if you want, maybe. They are little tiny cups. We tend to eat in units rather than thinking of eating a half cup or a 3/4 cup serving. We tend to eat one of something, one cookie, one roll, one bowl of soup. So if you eat one pumpkin cheesecake shooter, you may just find you're more satisfied than you would think otherwise. And if you're not, you can always go back for another one. But it gives you an opportunity to stop and think, do I really need more food, or am I quite content with just that little bit of dessert? I have chocolate graham cracker crumbs, and I'm just going to layer some of those in the bottom of my shot glass. And I will top it with a little bit of our nice blended pumpkin cream cheese mixture. And these are very easy to make. You can put it in a piping bag if you want to be, again, more efficient with it. Taking a Ziploc bag, filling it up with your pumpkin mixture, and then just snipping the corner off allows you to easily just squirt the mixture into all your little shot glasses or little plastic bowls, whatever you decide to serve in that you have at your house. But you can spoon it in as well if you don't want to take the time to do that. Then we'll just garnish with a little bit of whipped cream. I have on the menu True Whip Light is the Cool Whip that I use, or the whipped topping that I usually buy. It does use more natural ingredients than the non-dairy whipped topping Cool Whip stuff, so I like it. It tastes virtually identical. So if you're looking for a little healthier trade up in the Cool Whip department, True Whip is found in the freezer section of any Hy-Vee health market. If you don't really mind too much, Cool Whip certainly in moderation is okay. Just remember that, you know, a half cup of Cool Whip has about the same amount of calories as a half cup of ice cream. So don't think that it's just light and airy and free calories that you're, you know, putting on your pie. Use it sparingly, just like you would if you were putting a scoop of ice cream on your cake. Any questions about Pumpkin Cheesecake Shooters? Quick, easy, no bake. You could bake it the day of with virtually no time, and you can leave your oven for your turkey and your other goodies that need to be in there rather than making pies. Ready to sample? Quiet group today.
It's not probably a good thing. It probably doesn't
If I
fit
could
with
draw
this
your
theme
attention
either.
back to the front here for just a moment.
Sorry.
I have on your handout before the kale recipe a few tips. I wanted to get you eating first because usually people are more willing to listen to me give tips when they've had food in their bellies. Just, you know, the holidays are an important time to be with family and enjoy yourself, and not to think about restricting and dieting and you know, just the whole, oh, I need to be healthier kind of a mindset. Think about the goal of maintaining your weight, whether you're trying to lose extra pounds over the holidays. You can always have that more of that goal after the holidays, but just maintaining weight is a great goal to shoot for. In order to do that, you want to feel fuller, longer, have good energy. Fill up on whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Walk down the Thanksgiving table and kind of survey your food options before you start loading up your plate, so you can be sure you're not taking a bunch of things that you don't need. You can just take the few things that you do really want and make sure there's room for, you know, a relish tray or the cranberry sauce or a salad, hopefully some whole grain rolls or some whole grain stuffing on your table, and fill up on those things and not the more indulgent items. Eat plenty of protein. Turkey is great. Ham is high in sodium, but ham is good and lean as well. Just watch that if you have some sodium concerns or some blood pressure issues in your family. Protein increases satiety, delaying how soon you feel hungry. So adding another little bit of extra shrimp or turkey on your plate might help prevent an extra cocktail or an extra piece of dessert later on. Splurge wisely. Enjoy holiday foods in moderation. Choose those foods that you really like that you don't maybe have the rest of the year. You know, maybe you have mashed potatoes and gravy pretty regularly, so you would be better off indulging in green bean casserole or in the stuffing or something that you don't make year round. Really just use this as an opportunity to enjoy once a year foods and not to eat, you know, not to load up on calories eating those things that you can get any time of year. Choose 2 or 3 favorite treats to make. If you make a lot of things, you will eat a lot of things. If you focus on the things you enjoy the most and don't bother making the things that you're kind of ho-hum about, you probably will eat a lot less. The variety keeps our taste buds excited, so we want to keep eating. If we only have 3 or 4 different items on our plate, our taste buds get tired of those things a lot faster, and we eat a lot less than if we have a little bit of 12 different things. It also kind of gives us the illusion that we're not eating very much of anything if we just have small servings of too many things. If you eat normal servings of just a few things, 3 or 4 things, then you'll be much more in line with where you want to be with your calorie goals, and hopefully you'll eat slower. That's another good thing to help you feel fuller, longer, rather than just wolfing it all down because you're excited and it tastes good, or because you've skipped breakfast and let yourself get too hungry. That's also not a good plan. Make sure you're getting some food in earlier in the day so you're not going to be ravenous at your main meal. Pleasantly hungry but not ravenous, because that always leads to overeating. And lastly, number 5, keep moving. That's usually not too hard to do. There's plenty of generally kids around the house, or you know, the weather's maybe not too bad. You can go out and walk the dog, rake leaves in the yard, or clean up dishes, there's generally plenty of those to do. So keep your body moving after the meal rather than just sitting down and watching football. I know that's tempting, but burning off a few of those extra calories and keeping yourself active over the holidays is really going to offset any extra indulgences that do sneak into your diet. Questions or comments?
So should you suggest cooking with light virgin oil instead of extra virgin?
Light olive oil. Extra virgin comes from the first press of the olives, so it has a lot of antioxidants and polyphenols from that first press from those olive skins. That's why it's a darker green color. But those antioxidants will burn when you heat them, and then you lose any health benefit. And they smoke and they stink, and it's just not very good. So using light olive oil, or even just regular, there's 3 varieties: the extra virgin, the regular, and the light. Either regular or light olive oil works great for sauteing or cooking. They refine the extra virgin olive oil and get some of those antioxidants out so it cooks better.
But you would use extra virgin in like salad.
Oh yeah, always in a salad dressing, yeah. Anything cold. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Eat good, healthy things and enjoy your time. And maybe pick up a few little ideas today.
Certainly good.
Yes.
Great. Thank